This is your stimulus check update and stimulus package update.
Children, families, grandmas, grandfathers, businesses, our economy generally. And so we have responded 5 successful times, 2 on our own that unfortunately died in the Senate, which if they had passed in the Senate, we may not have needed this bill.
So folks, we've been going over the latest news about a third stimulus check, your unemployment benefits, and SSI and SSDI recipients.
7 in 10 Americans approve of the American Rescue Plan. In some polls I've seen, a majority of Republicans approve of this plan, Republican voters, not Republicans here in the Senate. Now, it's easy to see why there's such broad support. The COVID pandemic is the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, the worst public health crisis our nation has faced in 100 years. But our Republican colleagues say all these groups demanding the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, business leaders, government officials from both parties, economists from across the spectrum, and 7 in 10 Americans, Republicans say all of them are wrong. According to a report in CNN, Republican leaders are maneuvering to get every single Republican member to oppose the emerging legislation, every single one. Make no mistake, Republicans oppose the American Rescue Plan to the detriment of the country, and they do so at their own political peril. If our Republican colleagues want to oppose direct checks to struggling families, food assistance to hungry Americans, keeping teachers, firefighters, and essential public employees on the job, providing another round of support for small business, helping schools reopen as quickly and safely as possible, speeding vaccinations around the country, well, if congressional Republicans want to oppose all that, my response is good luck.
Reluctant to make that comparison without thinking about it further. I will just, though, echo that we have 10 million fewer people working on payroll jobs than we had just 1 year ago today, and that the unemployment rate, the reported rate, is 6.3%. But if you include people who were in the labor force and indeed working in February and a couple of other adjustments, you get to almost a 10% unemployment rate. So there's a lot of slack in the labor market and a long way to go.
While the details are still being completed, it seems likely that the people who receive SSI and SSDI will once again automatically qualify to receive a third stimulus check of $1,400. For the first 2 rounds, those individuals were eligible so long as they had a social security number and were not claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return, and so long as the household income did not exceed the threshold set at $75,000.
Boost economic activity by 4% this year. That's the kind of shot in the arm the economy needs, Madam Speaker. Real GDP would remain below the pre-pandemic level for the next several years, however. So delay is not an option. Failure is not an option. Retreating from the support of the American people that the 5 bills we passed in a bipartisan fashion reflected is not an option. In a poll of economists conducted by Reuters, over 90% said the American Rescue Plan would boost the economy significantly. We must enact a bill that reflects the urgent needs of our country and meets the crisis we confront. That is a moral imperative as well as a legislative imperative.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clyburn. I thank the distinguished whip and the distinguished majority leader, as well as our chair of the Budget Committee. Other members of the leadership are here as intellectual resources to answer any questions that you may have. We all, though, gather with great pride in the legislation that members will be receiving when it comes from the Rules Committee, where it is still under consideration. But it's a great, we're going to make a giant step forward tonight. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Madam Speaker, do you agree with some of the members of the Democratic caucus that believe that the Senate should either overrule the parliamentarians' decision on minimum wage or break up the filibuster in order to keep minimum wage as part of this package?
Well, I invite any of my colleagues who wish to answer that question to join me.
The Democrats hope that the stimulus checks will be sent out by March 14th. The Democrats are using reconciliation, which would allow them to bypass a lot of the uncertainty and potentially delay in Congress. They have set a target of March 14th to have the bill signed into law, but assuming that all members follow the party line and vote in favor of the Democrats. The focus will then switch to the distribution effort, which comes at a particularly busy time for the IRS. Not only are they in charge of administering and sending all stimulus check payments, but they also oversee the tax return process, which began on February 12th. This could cause a delay in comparison to the previous round of stimulus checks, as they attempt to administrate both the tax system and stimulus check distribution at the same time. While we don't know exactly when the distribution will start, we do know that the process is likely to follow the same staggered time frame as previous rounds. This is due to the different payment methods used to get the money to different groups. So folks, those who receive their stimulus check in the form of direct deposit will get their payment first, possibly within a week of the American Rescue Plan being signed into law. Next will come the paper checks, which, because they require the physical checks to be produced and sent out in the mail, will probably take around a week longer than the direct deposits. Finally, those who do not have access to a bank account will be sent an economic impact payment debit card. This prepaid bank card can be used in shops and online. The IRS will most likely look at your most recent filed tax return to see if you qualify for a payment. Because many Americans lost their jobs in 2020, filing early may help them qualify for the full $1,400 stimulus check. If you don't file before the package passes, the IRS may have to look at your 2019 taxes. According to Yahoo Finance, since the stock market rallied in 2020 and home prices hit record high, many people actually made more money than they did in 2019. In addition, everybody, President Joe Biden was disappointed in the outcome that the $15 minimum wage proposal has to be dropped in the third stimulus bill. The Senate has a long tradition of obeying the parliamentarians' decisions with a few exceptions. Jen Psaki said he will work with leaders in Congress to determine the best path forward, because no one in the country should work full-time and live in poverty. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said Democrats are not going to give up the fight to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Republicans solidly oppose the $15 minimum wage as an expense that will hurt businesses and cost jobs. They also oppose the overall relief bill, saying that it's too expensive. Now folks, my message to our politicians is to get the stimulus bill approved and send out third stimulus checks. The great American people need help now. If you agree with me, then leave a comment down below saying I agree. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel, turn on post notifications, and give this video a like. Until next time folks, have a great day and stay safe.